Need for Speed just dropped the biggest news we've had in a long time. Need for Speed Unbound is getting a full second year of content with 4 new volumes for 2024. I'm going to break it all down for you right now. Let's go. All right, so I know what a lot of you are thinking. There's a lot of people that were completely out on Need for Speed Unbound. They don't really like the game, they didn't want to play it, and there's a whole other side of players that are actually enjoying Unbound for what it is. Well, for both of these parties, I think things are going to get really, really interesting because Need for Speed just dropped this Year 2 roadmap, and it details 4 different volumes. You've got head-to-head with AUDI, drift and drag inspired by Need for Speed Underground, cops versus racers inspired by Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, and then a question mark on volume 9. Now obviously they're working on stuff for volume 9, and there are some details that we just can't uncover at this time, so we're gonna have some more details on that later. But let's go through some of this article, this Year 2 roadmap, and just give you everything that I can legally tell you about what this is. Now, if you don't know, I actually got to spend a couple of days at the Criterion Studios with a bunch of other creators, and it was an amazing time. I got to meet the team, and what I saw was the most enthusiastic, most open and honest people that I've seen coming from any Need for Speed camp, whether it be EA or Criterion or any of the devs that came before them. They are ready to make this game the best game they possibly can. So with that, we have a bunch of volumes. Let's start with the head-to-head with AUDI. Obviously, we're getting AUDI. AUDI is back, and that's a huge win for the franchise. Obviously, more cars is better. But let's talk about what comes with each of these volumes. They've actually got details on this roadmap. It's not just like titles of the volumes and then nothing else. You're getting 1 new major game mode and or feature at least. That means they're adding something new to the game, adding some new way to play this game with each of these volumes. You're also getting 2 brand new fully customizable cars with multiple body kits. I know you might be saying only 2 cars, but 2 cars is a huge undertaking for a team that's as small as the Criterion team is right now. A lot of them, as you may know, have been moved over to Battlefield, so the team that's working on it is the most dedicated, most passionate people in Criterion, and the amount of customization options that they're adding for each of these cars is just wild. So you have to take that into account. 2 brand new cars that are fully customizable. That's awesome. And then maybe one of the most welcome changes to their strategy is how are they going to monetize this year of content, and that is with the Speed Pass. You've got unlockable content with an optional premium track. So you've got basically a free track and a premium track. The premium track is going to be in place of your DLC packs. They don't have any mention of DLC packs in here. They have obviously gone away from that, and it's exactly what I was suggesting just a few months ago. This is the best way to monetize this content. You put all of the cool stuff in the premium track instead of making people buy each individual car and each individual customization pack. It just doesn't make sense that way. I think they're going to sell a lot more of these premium tracks than they would any of the other DLC packs. So huge shout out to them for being able to adjust their strategy when it comes to monetization. Now, on top of that, they say they're going to be adding events, weekly PvP playlists, which means some sort of like weekly rotating thing that you can come back and play. That's awesome. It just refreshes the game every single week, and the game definitely needs that. New challenges, free drive updates, so there'll be new things to do in free drive, and then progression updates. That gets me so excited. This is something I feel like has been missing from Need for Speed Unbound for a long time, is the sense of progression. Once you hit that max level, or you hit the max level in the Speed Pass, there really isn't any sense of progression, anything that you're chasing other than unlocking cars. And then obviously it's very open-ended, they've got more. So knowing that the team is fairly small for what it is, this looks like an insane amount of work to do every single volume. And so they put more on here just as a way to say, if they can add more things that they want to add, they will. And then ongoing, they're going to be doing bug fixes and quality of life improvements, which is awesome. But one of the things that actually gets me the most excited about this Year 2 roadmap is right here, Volume 7. Volume 7 is adding drift and drag inspired by Need for Speed Underground. I don't know if you guys have ever played Need for Speed Underground drag racing, but it's maybe the most fun drag racing in any game ever that's featured drag racing. I mean, it's definitely my favorite, and if they're adding a Need for Speed Underground drag race style mode, I'm all about that. The one thing that I hope, and this is not something that we talked about when I was at the studio, but the one thing that I hope that can be integrated into that is some sort of form of pink slips or something like that. That would be awesome. but I don't have any prior knowledge of that. I promise it's not something that we talked about. But pink slips would be great in the drag race scenario. It just adds a little bit more at stake for you as you're drag racing. And then the drifting in Underground 2 was actually one of the fan favorites. Like, they just liked that style of drifting. But it was on a closed course, if you remember. And so if we could get something like that in Unbound, that'd be great. But keep in mind, that's actually not coming until May. Now, Volume 8 is also going to be something that I feel like is a fan favorite. Cops versus Racers. This is what makes Need for Speed, and it's inspired by Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. That means, I mean, how could it mean anything other than a Hot Pursuit mode, right? This is Cops versus Racers anyway. So in August, we're looking at Cops versus Racers, and that's on top of all of these other things. This strategy, if we go down, is sort of detailed right here in the evolving volumes section. We're committing to adding 4 new volumes of content next year, each launching every few months. We aim to deliver some exciting themed updates with at least 1 new major mode added each volume. We will also continue to build on and evolve with each time. So this is the strategy that they're having. They want to add something to the game and then perfect it and build onto that. So that's what this volume is. That's what this entire year of content is. And I'm so excited. This is something you should be very optimistic about, and it's going to take time to really understand what this game is, what it is right now, and even after Volume 6 launches, I think it's going to be a completely different game come the end of the year. Now let's move into most requested bug fixes and improvements, because this actually is more telling about the team, the status of what they're doing and what they're going to be doing going forward, basically what they're capable of doing. And this is the type of transparency that I don't think we've ever had from a dev team. We really wanted to be fixing and focusing on the things that you all care about the most, like adding realistic driving effects last December. But as a small team, they need to prioritize where they spend their time, and it will always focus on what they feel is best for all of us. Every improvement we try to make is a trade-off between something new and something different. So we'll be closely monitoring your comments and feedback and coming to you with regular communications about what we're learning along the way. This is unmatched in terms of Need for Speed history. This team is so open and so transparent. They are willing to hear the feedback that you guys have and then apply that and let you know exactly what they can and can't do given the status of their team. And honestly, we can't ask for anything more as a fan base. Their goal is to improve this game, and I'm so on board. Now, Premium Speed Pass. This is what I was talking about. Starting in Volume 6, we are introducing an all-new premium track for the Speed Pass that will grant you instant access to one of our hot new vehicles and unlock the ability to earn all of its deep customization content. It also includes custom versions of the vehicle, and it's where you can find our hottest new customization options each season. Now that gets me excited because they're talking about new customization. We're not talking about the standard Need for Speed stuff that you've seen in years past, like underglow and smoke, and even the effects of Unbound. There's something new out there. Refining our Speed Pass this way is how we keep delivering unique content, and that's what I was telling you about. They need to monetize this content. They cannot work for free. It's not free to make a game, so they need to monetize it. And I encourage anyone who loves the Need for Speed brand and the franchise and wants to see it succeed, I encourage those people to at least look at the Premium Speed Pass and consider whether it's right for you and your financial situation. Now, finally, they talk about always be learning. We see this as a year to test and learn and understand what works best for you. Committing to an extended Unbound live service allows us to really build on the feedback, which we'll be gathering in a few different ways. We're working closely with a dedicated player council, that's me, and a few others, which is a great bunch of Need for Speed influencers, and I can confirm that these guys absolutely care a ton about Need for Speed. Everybody's feedback in that council was tremendous. I mean, it was just top-notch, deep level thinking on every issue, on every piece of feedback. It was tremendous, and it gives me chills to be a part of it. And this is the important part right here, and players to understand what's important to them and their communities. This is important. The more feedback you can give the team about the things that they're doing this year, the better they can make the game going forward, and that is the process for this year. And one last point on feedback. This is really important, and this is something I feel like developers don't get right very often, but they've nailed it on this one. And we'll look to close the feedback loop by being as transparent as possible with you. And that is so apparent because we would never have gotten this if they weren't willing to be transparent. August is so far away. October is so far away, but they've committed to showing you that they're working on multiple volumes at the same time. Obviously, February. That means it comes really soon, maybe within the next week. The countdown timer on Need for Speed Unbound, I think, says like 6 days or 7 days left, so we might be getting this as early as next week. That means this volume is actually done and they're working on 7, 8, and 9. But to be this transparent, talk about what they're actually trying to include, what the themes of the updates actually are. This is something to be super excited about, and I am so thankful that they've decided to go this way this year. And I know there's rumors this year about a potential remake, and I'm not really sure where all of that came from, but it looks to be like kind of half true. They're not remaking a game, but they're having drift and drag inspired by Underground. They're having cops versus racers inspired by Hot Pursuit. It looks to me like they're bringing back some of the most popular modes that the entire Need for Speed community loves, and they're modernizing it for Need for Speed Unbound. And I'm telling you, this smile says it all. I'm so excited to see what this game has in store for this year. Right now, you have a week to get your Volume 5 Speed Pass completed. Otherwise, you probably have to pay if you want to unlock all of that stuff at a later date. I highly recommend jumping back into Unbound immediately. Finish up that Speed Pass, and we'll see you for an update for Volume 6 in a very short amount of time. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.